All right, we are live. Thank you guys for joining us. It's Saturday, October 27th, and you are tuned in to our last October Pet Spooktacular episode of 2018. I'm your host, Jay, and joining me once again is my lovely co-host, Dee. I was going to say, how you doing, buddy? But I know you're not feeling it. So,
We're here. We're here.
yeah,
I always have
I'm
always have drama in my life. You know it wouldn't be me if I didn't have some drama going on.
Well, we're just glad that you joined us. This is our, as I mentioned earlier, our last Pet Spooktacular for 2018. So we're glad you're here.
Glad
And
to be here.
despite how you're feeling, it was really a beautiful day today.
Wasn't it great?
Where you are, because I've been under the weather too. So it was just nice to come outside and just find a beautiful, sunny, cool day. It was really fall this time.
Well, I officially wore my boots for the first time this year. So,
Oh, good for you.
woohoo! I
Good.
got to
Know you
break
love
out
your
the
boots.
boots. Yeah, well, I got to break out boots today. So that was a bright spot because you know how I adore my boots. So
Yes, yes. And down here in the South, we don't
you
get that
pick.
many opportunities, or it has to be kind of pretty much almost winter before we can really get there. But today was nice. Today was,
It was nice. It's probably going to only be where you can wear them for like a couple of days. But hey, you take
yeah,
what you can get.
we'll take what we can get. Well, despite today's nice weather, we're now going, since it's nighttime, we're temporarily parting ways from all the beautiful sentiments of the day, and we're going into an area a little more creepy. Where, you might ask? West Virginia, to be exact. Tonight, we'll be reading you a few monster legends from the book Monsters of West Virginia by Rosemary Ellen Guiley. It's really a great book, and I suggest those of you who are interested in regional monster and cryptid creatures check it out. I'll put a link on where to buy in the show description on our YouTube page. Miss Guiley also has written numerous books on other paranormal topics such as the Jinn, Ouija boards, aliens, plus a whole lot more. She's also done stuff on angels, so she has a lot of good stuff out there. So be sure to check out her other books too. And no, I haven't been paid to promote her. I just enjoy listening to her on Coast to Coast AM and other such programs. And also enjoyed reading this book. This was my first book of hers reading. Okay, so without further delay, we're going to get into tonight's Missy Show episode. Want to hear a story? Terrifying alleged real monster stories. Okay, let's see. Would you rather me start off, Dee, or would you like to go into one first?
I can start off. I think
Okay.
I want to start off with. I think I enjoyed this one, so I'm going to read this one. It's called The Hairy Fang Thing.
Cool.
Yeah, and is this the one I want to read? Yeah, this is the one I want to read. I think this is the one I want to read. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one I want to read. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
So, it's entitled The Hairy Fang Thing. So, Bob Tweets, a former journalist who documented many UFO sightings and encounters in West Virginia, found some UFO witnesses also had encounters with odd creatures, like the hairy fang thing. One witness was a 29-year-old woman from Morgantown in Mongolia County, who described an experience she had as a child at age 4. She had to spend a great deal of time with her aunt and uncle because of her mother's frequent bouts of illness. One night, Angela, and this was just a pseudonym given to her by the tweets, um, pseudonym, sorry, was playing with other children in the kitchen, and there was one light on, and the kids were underneath the table. The adults were outside on the porch, and Angela glanced up and saw a hairy monster standing in the doorway. She said it was about 5 feet tall, completely covered in long hair, and had fangs and a big nose. She ran screaming out of the kitchen, hollering, "I saw a monster." Good for you, Angela. Angela said that, according to her mother, that experience altered her personality from a friendly, outgoing child to a withdrawn little girl who was afraid. As she got older, into her 20s, and had roommates, Angela found that her roommates would awaken at night and see shadowy, human-like visitors in their bedrooms. Others saw figures walking around Angela's home. There were follow there followed sightings of mysterious lights in the sky and encounters with alien-like beings. With the hairy monster associated with Was the hairy monster associated with the UFO activity, an earlier visitor perhaps sent by aliens? I guess we will never know. I don't know. Could
Wow,
be.
that sounds pretty terrifying to look at. And the description was really interesting too. Hairy, covered in hair, fangs,
Covered
and a
in
big
hair,
nose.
fangs, and a big nose, which I don't know. I don't. I don't ask me why, but for some reason I saw a clip it or snippet of Sesame Street today, and I saw
That's
like
the
this.
Snuffleupagus, was
I
that?
think so, or something like that. So that's what keeps coming to mind, which I'm thankful for because I have to go to sleep later on. So that's what I'm going to keep going to in my mind. But yeah, that would scare me to death, and so much so it scared her. That's just what kills me is that scared that poor thing so bad that like she became a different person.
Right. Yeah. And I guess if you imagine yourself and put yourself in her shoes, I guess that's kind of understandable, to see
Yeah,
something like that and like there's no explanation for what it was, and then to still have some sort of paranormal activity going on beyond that.
yeah. So poor thing, bless her heart.
Well, I'm going to read, this is The Incubus of Calhoun County. So this one's a little bit longer, so bear with me. A black dog described as an incubus reportedly attacked people who slept in a haunted bedroom in a house in the vicinity of Grantsville, Calhoun County, according to reports from the late 19th century. Whether the story was hoax journalism cannot be determined, but the elements of the story fit other such accounts. The black dog incubus is wrapped up in a ghost story as well. The house in question belonged to Collins Betts, a farmer who lived in a rambling one-story house close to the Little Kanawha River, 3 miles south of Grantsville. For a time, the home was used as the county courthouse before being moved to Brookville. According to accounts, the Betts house had a reputation at the time for being haunted. It was a frequent stopping place for travelers. On September 30th, 1884, the Cincinnati Enquirer ran an article about the Cale Betts ghost, as it was known, and that it could not be laid or exorcised. The article said that numerous upright citizens, I was about to say uptight, numerous upright citizens had attested to the ghostly manifestations, which had been published in newspapers all over the country. Hundreds of letters had poured into the Betts homes with inquiries. Betts tore down the original house and rebuilt his home on a different spot on his farmland. He hoped it would be the end of the ghost, but the ghost seemed to get riled up instead and began pestering neighbors. It roamed for miles far and wide, frightening and distressing people, and eventually took up residence on a road where it assaulted and terrified travelers. The article ended by saying that no one knew how to get rid of the thing. That story resembles other stories of resistant ghosts, such as the Bell Witch spirit of Adams, Tennessee. By 1925, the story acquired a new phenomenon, a black demon dog. It was called an incubus, although that term actually refers to a male demon that assaults women in their sleep. The black demon dog assaulted everyone. On December 27th, 1925, the Charleston Daily Mail updated the Kelbeck story. The article referred to the Inquirer story and then purported to reprint an article dated 1886. According to the article, the Betts house might have been haunted by a peddler who mysteriously disappeared and may have been murdered for the $1,000 he carried. A bedroom was haunted, and the people who slept there were attacked by the demon dog. The ghost was believed to take other forms besides the black dog, including human, and to roam about outside the property. Once it appeared as a headless human to an overnight guest. One night, a Methodist minister named Reverend Wayne Kennedy spent the night and voluntarily slept in the haunted chamber. Sometime between midnight and 1 a.m., he awakened as a heavy weight came down on his chest and he started to feel suffocated. He saw a huge black dog sitting on his chest. It took all of his strength to throw the incubus off. He departed in the morning, telling Betts he would not come back. On another occasion, John Betts, the cousin of Collins, visited from Colorado and slept in the haunted room. He too was attacked at night. He was found lying in bed, helpless, unable to move. He said he had been unable to throw the thing off, and the attack had lasted all night until dawn. He never fully recovered. Ugh. Okay, a man named Henry Elliott suffered a similar fate. He was turned into an invalid after being attacked by a huge black animal that nearly smothered him to death.
Mm.
Another visitor, Henry Newman, had an invisible animal like presence claw at his bedclothes. The parade of victims went on. Young women saw horrible phantoms, terrified guests left in the middle of the night, galloping off on their horses. Peculiar shapes were seen. Whispery voices and odd sounds of heavy objects falling were heard. The mystery behind the manifestations remained unsolved. It is puzzling that the black demon dog is not mentioned in the 1884 account, so perhaps the 1925 article was an embellishment for the purpose of Christmas time ghost storytelling, a custom in the past. Even so, characteristics describe a heavy black entity sitting on the person's chest with suffocating force is a very real phenomenon documented for centuries. It has been called the old hag, which is what we talked about last week, a
Mm.
reference to the belief that a witch or demon attacked people at night and tried to kill them by pressing on their chests and suffocating them. Fact or fiction, the black dog in this account could either be phantom or unknown creature. So that sounds pretty horrible.
Yes, it does. Oh my gosh.
Poor people.
I mean, good Lord. Okay.
Especially the poor guy that became an invalid after.
I
My goodness.
know. Because, I mean, how do you explain that? Bless it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, don't thank you. No,
Won't
thank
be
you.
visiting Calhoun County or don't want to go to that property anyway if I'm going to go.
Don't worry, because if I did live in Calhoun County, I'd be moving and leaving, going
Yeah,
somewhere.
definitely.
You gotta go. I would have to go. I would have to.
Yeah. Yep. And sorry I wouldn't have been a guest at his house after hearing about the other
No,
people. Nah,
mm-mm.
one coming.
I wouldn't come to his house, and I don't know if he could come to mine because he might bring
Ex-
some stuff with him. So
Yeah,
I'm just,
exactly. Exactly, because I've heard that's possible too. So no.
yeah. So yeah. Well, well, anyway, never mind. Uh,
Yep.
we're not even gonna go into that. We're not even gonna go into that. Well, I want to talk to you, Jay, about the Webster werewolf.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool. The
I,
Webster.
I was gonna do my werewolf, but I don't have a were in me to wolf, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna read the story. That's what I'm gonna do. So the Webster werewolf. Two young cousins and their fathers joined other hunters at a deer camp on Cranberry Ridge late one November. The camp was well off the roads and deep into the mountainous terrain. The day was unusually warm and a heavy rain set in by evening. The father and uncle discovered that they had forgotten to bring lard for cooking dinner, so the two cousins volunteered to drive an all-terrain vehicle, ATV, into the Nicholas County to buy some, as well as some other items and groceries. They put on their rain gear and set across the tunnel ridge. As they approached the Guiley River, the rain eased and the cloud broke to reveal the moonlight. The youths got stuck in the mud holes and had to stop to push the ATV out. At one point, they stopped to take off their rain gear and check on their gas tanks. As they stood by the vehicle, one of the youths saw what appeared to be an enormous wolf standing on its hind legs behind them on the trail. Time to go. It was visible only in the silhouette. It had a long snout, long and pointed ears, was completely covered in hair or fur, and stood about 6.5 feet tall. Werewolf flashed through the witness's mind. He stood frozen, speechless, and then managed to stammer, "Look." His cousin turned and saw the creature staring at them. The two jumped onto the ATV and tore off. They were so frightened they could not look behind them, lest they see the monster in hot pursuit. The driver was so scared he forgot to shift out of first gear and nearly ruined the ATV. The youths made it to the uncle's house where they spilled their entire story to his wife. They refused to drive back to the camp alone, so they loaded the ATV into the pickup truck and asked the wife to drive them back. The others at the camp were surprised to see the youths arrive in the truck with the ATV in the back. When the boys told their story, no one believed them. Everything had been normal at the camp. Yeah, and that would be the last time, because as soon as day broke, as soon as I saw some sun coming up over the horizon,
Yep.
I would be out of the, yeah, we are going, and I probably moved to New York.
Yeah, I definitely want to be in a busy city.
I want to be in a bit. I know there's probably some stuff going on there too, but yeah, I would want to be in a noisy, busy city. That would. Can you imagine? Well, I've had that experience with a person before, but can you imagine if you're out in somewhere and then all of a sudden and it's like a horror movie, and you turn around and you see something behind you in the distance, and you're like, oh crap, and then it starts maybe to come at you. Oh crap, crap, oh crap.
Exactly. I mean, it really does sound like something out of a movie,
Yeah,
and then to have people not believe you.
yeah,
I'm sorry, and
exactly.
I do think that there are some things that sound just too fantastical or whatnot, but
Yeah,
I think I could gauge if a person just looks like they're terrified, and
yeah.
I'll just be like, even if you didn't see the actual thing that you think you saw something.
You
You're
saw
scared.
something to
Something
scare
scared you.
you, yeah, to scare you, crazy right now. So I'm just going to be sympathetic to the fact that you are scared to death right now.
Exactly. And whatever you saw, I'm like, I'm good. We don't have to go back and
We
find it.
don't
I'm
need to
gonna take
see
your
it.
word for it. I'm
And
good.
as soon as day breaks, we are leaving. So we're going to both sit up and hold each other. And then as soon as the light breaks, we're going to leave. Okay. It's okay. We're going to be fine. Let's rock together. So,
Yes, definitely not a fan of camping to this day.
no,
Well, never have been, and I don't think I ever will.
no,
No,
probably
good on
not.
that. Good on that.
Probably. Mm-mm.
Well, I've got one here, and this may be my last one because I know you're not feeling well, so we're gonna go with this. It is called the Flying Manta Rays. Another flying mystery, an airborne manta ray, was witnessed on December 3rd, 2004, near Ashton, also in Mason County. The sighting occurred between 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. on a clear night after two people, a man and a woman, departed Point Pleasant en route to Huntington. And Point Pleasant, we know, is where the Moth Man occurred, also in
Mm.
a more popular cryptid. The man was driving. Here is the woman's report. A friend and I were traveling on Route 2 toward Huntington, West Virginia. I was on my way to set up my booth for an art show, and my mind was occupied with the booth setup and show logistics. We had just gone over the railroad tracks outside of Ashton, West Virginia, and were on a long, straight stretch of road. There was a distant oncoming traffic, and the headlights were on. There were no cars behind us in sight. I was in the passenger seat and my friend was driving. I noticed a sudden movement in the sky over the Ohio River to my right in front of the car. It was a grayish, smooth, winged shape. The shape swooped in a figure eight in front of the windshield and then was suddenly gone to the left of us. It didn't fly out of sight, it was just gone. This happened very quickly, but as I am a visual artist, it was impressed into my memory banks. Size bigger than the car. The wing spread was wider than the two-lane road we were on. The wings seemed to stretch wider somehow as it did the figure eight swoop. It was never more than 25 feet away from us as it flew toward the windshield. We thought it was going to crash into the windshield. At one point during the swoop, it was only about 5 feet off of the pavement. Color, gray, translucent like a jellyfish. As it banked and swooped, I could see many angles of it, and somehow it looked more transparent as it turned some parts to us. I immediately thought it was like a manta ray. The body was flattish like a manta ray or a bat. The wings were long and smooth and sort of pointed at the tip. I saw no texture or roughness on it, only smooth surface. Characteristics: only body and wings, no head, eyes, tail, or feet. It did not look humanoid in any way. On the other hand, it wasn't a bird either. It moved more like something in the ocean would move. It did not flap the wings like a bird or flutter them like a bat, but stretched them instead. My friend, who alas passed away a year ago, said to him the wings looked ragged, like there were pieces coming off of them. He also said he got a good look at the underneath and it looked gray and smooth. This absolutely was not a machine. It was articulated like a living creature and seemed like something organic. As I look back on this sighting, I wonder if it was something playing with us. It happened so quickly that the only scary part was when we thought it was going to crash into the windshield. It was so beautiful and strange. It reminded me of a sea creature more than anything else. Maybe our air is like water to them. Another flying manta ray called the Horton Horror was reported in Horton in Randolph County. A woman and her daughter saw a manta-shaped something that glided along over and near their car. Researcher Kurt McCoy received an account about a manta ray creature that was so weird he was inclined to discount it as a campfire story. Perhaps it cannot be dismissed in the light of the other accounts above. According to McCoy, a man driving along a foggy road at night, the location isn't given, came upon a huge ray-shaped thing that was straddling the road ahead of him. At first, he thought only two reddish-orange spots that he thought were bicycle reflectors in the fog. He honked his horn and was shocked to see the reflectors blink at him. Then a ray-shaped dark form lifted up off the road and glided over a hill, vanishing into the fog-filled valley below. So,
there you go. You know, when you were reading that, I was thinking Jeepers Creepers, that movie, the thing that turned out to be, but then you said that it wasn't like a bat or thing. Like, I was like, okay, well, that kind of rules that out. But that's what was going through my mind when you were reading that, Jay.
Yeah, and I don't know what a manta ray is exactly. I know what a stingray is, and that's sort of what I picture a stingray, the way they describe it, and everything. So that was interesting too. Have no idea what that could have been.
Wow, can you imagine like seeing something like that though, just out and about, and then all of a sudden, boom, and you're like, okay, and it's good if you're with somebody else, and then you turn to them and you say, "Did you see that?" And they say yes. You're like, okay, good.
Yeah, especially you're just driving your car, going about minding your own business, and you just have that happening, especially if it happens at nighttime.
I know, because you're trying to make justifications of what that could be, and when you don't have anything that can just support what it might be, you're like, crap. You're like, oh, crap. I want to go home.
I know. And like I said, I think we've said this before, maybe it was another state, but I don't know. It makes me not want to visit West Virginia, and I'm sure West Virginians are very sweet people.
I hear that it's a great place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to be going there anytime soon,
Right.
but I hear it's a great place, and I'm quite sure they have wonderful people there.
And here's the thing. I guess every state has their own haunted stories and stuff, you know. So, but it just seems like there are certain areas, like I hear things about West Virginia. Sometimes, whenever I'm looking at a haunting or those shows like that, it seems like something's going on in Connecticut. And it's just some places where I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they're more haunted than others. I'm not saying you can say a whole state is haunted, because, I mean, things happen everywhere. But
yes, they do. Yes, we have our own fair share. So
yes, we do. But I wanted to thank you guys once again for tuning in to another October Pet Spooktacular episode of the Missy Show. That is for 2018, but we will see you guys back here this time next year for all brand new scary episodes. I will have a blog post ready for you guys on Halloween Day, the darker side of Santa Claus. So be prepared for that. And on Friday, which I think will be, November 2nd, I will do another blog post just to let you guys know what's coming up for the Missy Show in the month of November. But until then, you guys stay spooky and try not to let the manta rays get you.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks.
You're welcome. But you're gonna look at some cartoons later. We both are. But you gotta admit, this one wasn't as bad as some.
It wasn't as bad, but it just made a lot of things pop up in my mind, because I'm like, wasn't thinking about that until now. Okay. It's all good. You need a little spook in your life on
Yes, you
Halloween.
do. Yes, you do. And that's another thing. Speaking of Halloween, everybody have a safe and happy
Please have
Halloween.
a safe and wonderful Halloween. This is your time to eat as much sugar as you want without feeling guilty. Get those
Exactly.
fun size sneakers. Woo! Yeah.
Ju-
Bring them on.
Just keep them away from your pets. Just always
Yes.
remember it's not for them.
Yes. That's
And
not
also
for
keep
them.
your pets indoors on Halloween, especially if you got a black cat. But really, for any pets, keep them inside. It's
Yeah.
easy for
Let
them
them
to be on
enjoy
the
their
way.
costumes and their own little fun dog and cat appropriate treats inside and take wonderful, great pictures and post them so we can see them.
Yes, yes, exactly. So from J and D, here's to wishing you a wonderful remainder of your weekend and a wonderful upcoming work week. And we'll see you back on the Missy Show blog post on Halloween. Until then, have an awesome Saturday night. Bye.
Bye.